Have you ever wondered how they made the DeLorean fly in Back to the Future Part 2? What if I told you it cost more than the entire first movie, and the writer now regrets making it fly at all? This iconic time machine hides secrets that will change everything you thought you knew about the trilogy. Today, we're counting down 20 weird facts about the 1981 DeLorean from Back to the Future Part 2 that even the most dedicated fans have never heard. From coffee grinder reactors to fiberglass replicas, from wirework nightmares to John DeLorean's tragic irony, these revelations are absolutely mind-blowing. So buckle up, hit that like button if you love movie cars and time travel, and let's jump into the hidden history of cinema's most famous flying car. Great Scott, you're not going to believe some of these facts. Number 20. 7 different DeLoreans were used for Part 2. Back to the Future. Part 2 required significantly more DeLoreans than the original film. The production used 7 different cars, each serving specific purposes. One was the pristine hero car for close-ups and beauty shots. Another handled regular driving scenes on streets. They had a lightweight fiberglass replica for flying sequences. One car was modified specifically for the Old West scenes, filmed for Part 3. Another was designated for the 2015 future sequences with full hover conversion. A backup car sat ready for emergencies. The final car was sacrificed for destruction scenes. Managing this fleet was a logistical nightmare. Each needed consistent appearance despite different modifications. The production tracked every car meticulously to maintain continuity across the complex timeline-jumping story. Number 19. The flying DeLorean was mostly puppetry and wires. Those spectacular flying sequences weren't computer-generated. This was 1989, before CGI dominated filmmaking. The flying DeLorean was achieved through old-school Hollywood magic: wires, cranes, and puppetry. They suspended full-size DeLoreans from massive crane rigs, steel cables attached to reinforced mounting points on the cars. For wide shots, they used the lightweight fiberglass replica, which was easier to maneuver. Skilled puppeteers controlled the car's pitch, yaw, and rotation. In post-production, effects artists painstakingly removed wires frame by frame. This was done manually, painting out cables on film. The process was tedious and expensive. Some shots required weeks of wire removal work. The result looks remarkably convincing even today, proving practical effects can outlast early CGI. Number 18. Mr. Fusion was built from a coffee grinder. The iconic Mr. Fusion home energy reactor has humble origins. The prop department started with a Krupp's coffee grinder bought at a department store. This particular model had the perfect retro-futuristic shape. Its clear top and industrial look suggested advanced technology. They modified it with additional details, labels, and weathering. The Krupp's logo was partially visible in some shots, creating accidental product placement. Krupp's never paid for this exposure but benefited from the association. The coffee grinder became one of cinema's most recognizable props. Fans can still identify the exact model used. Vintage Krupp's grinders matching the Mr. Fusion design now sell for premium prices to collectors. It's perfect movie magic, turning a $30 appliance into an iconic piece of fictional technology. Number 17. The hover conversion was designed by Sid Mead. Universal hired legendary futurist designer Sid Mead to reimagine the DeLorean for 2015. Mead had designed for Blade Runner, Tron, and Aliens. His vision of future technology was highly respected. He added the hover conversion hardware underneath the car. Those distinctive circular vents and panels weren't random. Each element served a theoretical purpose in Mead's design. The modifications had to look advanced, but still recognizable as a DeLorean. Mead achieved perfect balance between familiar and futuristic. He added new details while respecting the original's iconic gull-wing doors and stainless steel body. His 2015 aesthetic influenced how audiences imagined near-future technology. The hover conversion looked plausible, like actual engineering rather than fantasy. Meade's contribution elevated the flying DeLorean from gimmick to believable future tech. Number 16. They had to find more DeLoreans after Part 1. The original Back to the Future had used several DeLoreans, wearing them out through filming. For the sequel, they needed fresh cars. There was one massive problem. DeLorean Motor Company had gone bankrupt in 1982. No new cars were being produced. The company was defunct, its founder facing legal troubles. The production team had to scour the used car market. They bought DeLoreans from private owners across the country. Prices were rising as the cars became collectible curiosities. What had been cheap used cars were now harder to find. Some owners refused to sell, knowing the car's value would increase. The production paid premium prices for vehicles from a dead company. This shortage forced creative solutions, like building the fiberglass replica for stunts to preserve the real cars. Number 15. The flying wheels actually spun during flight. Look closely at flying DeLorean scenes and you'll notice something interesting. The wheels continue rotating even when the car is airborne. This wasn't accidental. The effects team motorized the wheels specifically for this purpose. Why bother with this detail? Realism. They theorized that future hover technology might use spinning wheels for stabilization or directional control. The rotating wheels also created visual interest and movement. Static wheels would make the flying car look dead or powered down. The spinning suggested active systems and energy. Engineering this feature was challenging. They had to install motors that could run the wheels remotely while the car was suspended. Battery packs powered the system during filming. This small detail that many viewers never consciously notice added crucial believability to the flying sequences. Number 14. Real DeLorean owners complained about the modifications. The DeLorean owner community had strong opinions about the movie modifications. Purists felt the hover conversion ruined the car's original design. John DeLorean himself had created something he considered automotive art. Bolting sci-fi equipment all over it seemed disrespectful to some owners. They argued the DeLorean's clean lines and stainless steel aesthetic were being hidden. DeLorean clubs debated whether the movies helped or hurt the car's image. Some felt the Time Machine association was silly and diminished the car's serious engineering. Others recognized the films gave the DeLorean immortality it wouldn't have achieved otherwise. John DeLorean's own reaction was complicated. He appreciated the attention but reportedly wished his car was remembered for its innovation rather than movie fame. The debate continues in DeLorean communities today. Number 13. The fuel lines were reversed for Mr. Fusion. Adding Mr. Fusion created practical problems beyond just the visual prop. The DeLorean's actual fuel system had to be modified. The original fuel filler was in a specific location. Mr. Fusion mounted differently, requiring rerouting of lines. The effects team reversed and relocated fuel system components to accommodate the coffee grinder reactor. This wasn't just cosmetic. The cars still needed to run on actual gasoline between takes. They created a system where the car could be fueled despite Mr. Fusion covering the original access points. Hidden panels and modified plumbing solved the problem. For scenes showing garbage being loaded into Mr. Fusion, they needed functional access. The engineering was surprisingly complex for what audiences saw as a simple prop addition. These technical compromises happened throughout the car to make fictional future technology coexist with 1980s automotive reality. Number 12. One DeLorean was destroyed, creating the train crash. Back to the Future. Part 3's climactic train scene required sacrificing a real DeLorean. The production designated one car specifically for destruction. This wasn't done lightly, as sourcing DeLoreans was increasingly difficult and expensive. They chose a car already damaged from previous filming. For the train impact, they had to stage actual destruction. The DeLorean was placed on tracks for the collision sequence. The locomotive impact crushed and mangled the car dramatically. Multiple cameras captured the destruction from every angle. They'd only get one take. The demolished DeLorean was photographed extensively for effects work and continuity. Some pieces survived and were kept. The twisted wreckage appeared in behind-the-scenes footage and documentaries. Destroying a rare DeLorean troubled some crew members. But the spectacular finale required real destruction, not just special effects trickery. Number 11. The white ice version required special paint. Several scenes show the DeLorean covered in ice and frost after time traveling. Creating this frozen appearance required special techniques. They couldn't use actual ice, which would melt under hot filming lights. The effects team developed removable frost coatings. Special paint and materials created the iced-over look without damaging the stainless steel body. For some shots, they applied the frost effect temporarily. Between takes, crew members would touch up the icing. For other sequences, they needed the ice to disappear on camera as the car warmed. This required dissolvable materials and careful choreography. The frozen DeLorean had to look genuinely ice-covered while remaining functional. Continuity was challenging because the ice coverage changed between shots. The effects team maintained detailed notes about which parts were frosted in each scene. Number 10. The 2015 license plate was barcode style. The production designers imagined 2015 license plates would be barcode-based. In 1989, this seemed like cutting-edge future technology. Barcodes were becoming common on products and suggested computer-readable information. The prop department created futuristic plates with prominent barcode designs. They assumed by 2015, license plates would be machine scannable for automated systems. This prediction actually wasn't far off. Modern license plate readers use similar technology, though the plates themselves don't look like barcodes. The design choice reveals what 1989 thought the future would emphasize: automation and computer systems. When actual 2015 arrived, fans compared real license plates to the movie's prediction. The barcode plates became another example of Back to the Future's future predicting that was directionally correct, if not precisely accurate in execution. Number 9. Bob Gale regrets making it fly. Co-writer and producer Bob Gale has admitted in interviews that making the DeLorean fly was a mistake. The decision came from wanting Part 2 to be bigger and more spectacular than the original. But flying created massive complications. Story-wise, it raised questions about why they didn't just fly over obstacles. Budget-wise, every flying scene cost a fortune in special effects. The flying ability constrained the plot in Part 3. They had to explain why the car couldn't fly anymore to create dramatic tension. Gale realized the grounded DeLorean from the first film was more interesting dramatically. Limitations create better storytelling than unlimited capabilities. The flying DeLorean looked cool but simplified problems that should have been challenging. If given the chance, Gale said he'd keep the DeLorean earthbound throughout the trilogy. Number 8. The flying scenes cost more than entire first film. The special effects budget for Part 2's flying sequences was astronomical. Individual shots cost tens of thousands of dollars each. The wire work, crane operations, and post-production effects required huge teams and time. Some complex flying scenes cost more than the entire budget of the original Back to the Future. Universal executives were nervous about the spiraling costs. The first film was made for about $19 million. Part 2's effects alone approached that figure. Each second of flying DeLorean on screen represented hours of work and substantial expense. The production had to justify every flying shot to worried studio accountants. Robert Zemeckis fought to preserve his vision despite cost pressures. The expensive effects contributed to Part 2 and 3 being filmed simultaneously to maximize efficiency and cost savings. Number 7. They used a full-size fiberglass replica for stunts. The production built a complete fiberglass DeLorean specifically for flying and stunt work. This replica weighed significantly less than a real car. The lightweight construction made it easier to suspend from cranes and wires. Rigging systems didn't need to support 2,700 pounds of actual DeLorean. The fiberglass car could be moved faster and more dynamically. It matched the real DeLorean's appearance perfectly from a distance. Up close, you could tell the difference, but on camera, it was convincing. The replica lacked a real engine and interior details, but those weren't needed for flying shots. The production would switch between real and replica depending on the scene. Wide flying shots typically used the lightweight replica. Close-ups and ground scenes used genuine DeLoreans. This hybrid approach saved money and preserved the real cars. Number 6. The Gray's Sports Almanac was based on real sports books. The Gray's Sports Almanac that drives Part 2's plot was carefully researched and designed. The prop department studied actual sports almanacs for reference. They needed it to look authentic, like something Biff could actually use. The prop included convincing details, realistic layouts, plausible sports scores, and proper almanac formatting. They invented 50 years of fake sports history. Some statistics and team names referenced real sports trends. The almanac had to be readable on camera for specific scenes. Multiple copies were made for different levels of detail. Some were just covers, others had fully printed interiors. The care put into this prop paid off. The almanac feels completely real, making the time travel consequences believable. It's become one of the most replicated props among fans, with companies selling accurate reproductions. Number 5. Michael J. Fox never actually flew the DeLorean. Despite what audiences saw, Michael J. Fox never actually flew in the DeLorean. All flying scenes with him inside were filmed on sound stages. The car sat stationary on a platform. Background plates filmed separately were projected behind him. Later films used blue screen technology. Fox would act like he was flying while sitting in a motionless car. The car might rock and tilt on the platform to simulate movement. Wind machines created the illusion of rushing air, but he was never actually suspended in the air. The claustrophobic reality was very different from the spectacular freedom audiences experienced. Fox's performance sold the flying despite the unglamorous shooting conditions. When you see the DeLorean soaring through Hill Valley, that's either the empty fiberglass replica or wire work without actors inside. Movie magic separated actor and actual flight. Number 4. The hoverboard scenes required flying DeLorean technology. The hoverboard chase sequences shared technology with the flying car effects. Both required wire work, careful rigging, and post-production wire removal. In some ways, the hoverboards were harder than the DeLorean. A car on wires maintained stable orientation. Actors on hoverboards had to maintain balance while suspended. The rigging had to allow natural body movement while preventing dangerous falls. They developed special harnesses that could be hidden under costumes. The wire removal was more challenging because actors moved unpredictably. Each frame required careful painting out of support cables. Some hoverboard shots took longer to complete than flying car sequences. The technologies were interconnected. Lessons learned from suspending the DeLorean informed how they rigged actors. The entire film was essentially a masterclass in practical wire work and compositing techniques from the pre-CGI era. Number 3. Universal still owns 3 screen-used DeLoreans. Universal Studios preserved 3 genuine screen-used DeLoreans from the trilogy. These cars remain in their archive collection. One is the primary hero car featuring the most complete hover conversion. Another is the A car, used extensively for Part 2 filming. The third is the train-damaged car from Part 3, preserved in its destroyed state. Universal brings these cars out occasionally for special events and anniversaries. They've appeared at Universal Studios theme parks, conventions, and special screenings. The cars are maintained but not restored to pristine condition. Universal prefers keeping them in their screen-used state, with authentic wear and modifications. Conservative estimates value each car at over $1 million. But Universal will never sell them. They're priceless artifacts from one of cinema's most beloved franchises. Number 2. The flying DeLorean design influenced real concept cars. Automotive designers who grew up watching Back to the Future carried its influence into their careers. Several concept cars from the 1990s and 2000s featured design elements inspired by the hover-converted DeLorean. The idea of underbody lighting and visible propulsion systems appeared in real concept vehicles. Some electric car designs referenced the DeLorean's futuristic modifications. The gull-wing doors experienced a resurgence partly due to the film's popularity. Tesla's Cybertruck designer admitted childhood love of the DeLorean influenced his work. The movies demonstrated how to make a car look futuristic without losing its essential character. This lesson influenced an entire generation of car designers. The flying DeLorean proved that adding the right details could transform a vehicle's entire perception. Real automotive design began incorporating theatrical, attention-grabbing elements that prioritized visual impact. Number 1. John DeLorean died before seeing his car's ultimate legacy. Here's the tragic irony of the DeLorean story. John DeLorean created his dream car, saw his company collapse in scandal and bankruptcy, and spent years trying to rebuild his reputation. He died in 2005, just as the DeLorean was entering its period of greatest cultural significance. When the car was new, it was a commercial failure. Only 9,000 were built before DMC went bankrupt. DeLorean himself was arrested in a drug trafficking sting, though later acquitted. His name became associated with failure and scandal. But the Back to the Future films transformed everything. The car nobody wanted became immortal. Today, DeLoreans are cultural icons worth far more than their original price. John DeLorean never fully witnessed this resurrection. He saw the film's initial success, but died before the full extent of his car's legendary status. The automobile executive who failed in business accidentally achieved immortality through Hollywood. And there you have it. 20 weird facts about the flying DeLorean that prove sometimes the best special effects are just wires and coffee grinders. Which fact shocked you most? What year would you travel to? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more movie car secrets. Where we're going, we need subscribers.